about various bearings and its clearances. The what is the purpose of the bearing? What it fulfills? Actually, the main purpose of bearing is to prevent direct metal to metal contact between two elements that are in relative motion, to prevent friction and heat generation due to this motion. So for that only bearing is used. They also transmit the load to the load of the rotating element to the housing also. It will go to the end and as well as this load is a radial type, axial type, and combination of both. And actually bearings are broadly divided into two types. One is friction type, another is anti-friction type. Totally whatever bearings are there, broadly classified into two. It is as one is friction and another is anti-friction. What we are using is all anti-friction bearings, that in that ball bearings and roller bearings. Ball bearings are used maximum in axillary motor, and these roller bearings are used in TM and axle boxes and all. This friction bearing is other than this. There no rolling element is there, whereas in this rolling element will be there. As a roller, ball bearing or something will be there in this for a rolling, whereas in this just bush type, sleeve type arrangement will be there in a friction type. And this there are five basic type of anti-friction bearings: tapered, needle, ball, spherical, and cylindrical. Each type is named bearing upon the type of the rolling element it employs. This here tapered rollers are used, so hence it is tapered roller bearing. Here needle rollers are used, it is needle roller bearing. Here ball bearings are used, balls are used, so ball this thing, ball bearings. Here spherical rollers are used, so it is spherical bearing. And here cylindrical rollers are there that we are using in TM and all. And rolling element bearing contains rolling elements in the shape of balls or cylinders. That is same only. Rolling element carried the load without much friction, as sliding friction is replaced by the rolling friction. Instead of sliding, it is replaced by the rolling friction. Rolling element bearing can be subdivided into major two types. One is ball bearing and another one is roller bearing. Same thing. It consists of row of ball bearings consist of two rows. This only sample. It consists of balls as rolling elements. They are trapped between two annular shaped metal pieces. One is this metal chip, annular shape, and another one is this metal, annular shaped metal piece. These metal pieces are known as racers. One is the outer racer, another one is inner racer. This inner racer is free to rotate while the outer racer is stationary. In end shield, it will be fitted. It will be fitted in the end shield, whereas this along with the rotor, it will rotate. Ball bearings are used for controlling oscillatory and rotational motion. Both oscillation and well as rotated motion, it will control. It will not allow move to outside and as well as rotation also. And the advantages of yes, sir, yes, sir. Yes. Advantages of ball bearings are good wear resistance, do not need much lubrication, provide low friction, thus little energy loss, long service life it will give, easy to replace, and small general dimensions, comparatively cheap also, can handle thrust loads also. Whereas disadvantages may break due to shock and can be quite loud and cannot handle large weights. These bearings cannot handle large weight, but remaining all other advantages are there for this. And actually bearing nomenclature, how a bearing can be identified with its number, that is there, sir. First in our section 631T I have taken as example. So first bearing number will give type code, which type of bearing it is used. First of ours, suppose 4306 is used in TFP MPH. This is double row ball bearing, and six our all bearings used in axle motor starts with 6 code. So this is single row deep groove ball bearing. So this is a single row grip game. First one, if one suppose bearing number 1 is there, then it's self-aligning bearing. Second, 2 number bearing is there, first digit. So it will use spherical roller bearing. Third, double row angular contact bearing. Fourth is double row, 2 rows of bearing balls will be there. So double row ball bearing. Thrust ball bearing. 5 means 6 means single row only where it is double row deep groove ball bearing. And 7 is single row angular contact bearing. And second, bearing series. Second digit indicates bearing series. It will give mainly about outer dia of the bearing. It will give, for example, 0 extra light series. Suppose 6 3 is there, so it is medium series. Suppose 6 4 is there, it is heavy series. This digit indicates about the outer dia and its width. Suppose, for example, we are having width different will be there, sir, for this. Suppose 6005 bearing is there, and it actually last digit 6, suppose 6005 is there, last digit 5 digit. With that 5 digit, if you multiply with 5, sir, it will give the inner dia of the bearing. Inner dia of the bearing it will give. So correspondingly, according to this series code, the outer dia will vary. For example, now all, for example, 6005 is there, 6205 is there, 6305 is there, 6405 is there. In this all, inner dia of the bearing is same. 5 into 525. Inner dia of the bearing is same. But whereas this 0 means its width will be 12 mm and OD will be 47 mm. Whereas 6205, its width will be 15 and OD will be 42 mm. So like that, this series code will give about the outer dia and its width. Now then comes to bearing suffix code. Last after the bearing, one suffix code will be there like this. Suppose no code is there means you can use both types. Greasing can be done. Suppose one Z is there. So in the one bearing will be there. Like suppose this is the bearing. In this both side it is called shielded. Metal shield is there. So suppose one side shield, metal shield is there, it is named as Z. Suppose both side it is shield, so ZZ. This is both sides shield now. It is already grease will be available inside and no need for us to do greasing. So this is both sides metal shielded is there. RS, this R means rubber. Suppose in this space metal, instead of metal we are using rubber, so it is rubber shielded. Suppose 2 RS means both side rubber seal will be there. And third M is brass cage and N is snap ring groove in the outer ring. This includes that last this thing, sir. And commonly used bearings, single row deep groove ball bearing, stainless steel deep groove ball bearing, single row deep groove ball bearing with filling slots, and double row deep groove ball bearings. And in this last is the clearance also is mentioned, sir. That these two digits will bore a dia of the bearing inner dia it will there. And this into 5 if we multiply that dia of the inner bearing dia will come. C3 is the clearance. And this is the of code form. And single row deep simple, versatile, and robust design is there. Low friction will be there. High speed capability is there. Accommodate radial and axial loads in both directions. Radial load, suppose from the top it load is coming, it is radial, and whereas parallelly it is coming is axial load. So both it can accommodate. These bearings can accommodate both type of loads. Required little maintenance. Like simple greasing only is required. This is bearing is 6306 bearing, sir. This is its structure 6306 with C clearance, and this is double row.
This is 6306. We are able to tell the inner dia. Outer dia we are not able to say.
We can tell, sir.
So just to calculate. No, so
What,
from the
sir?
number itself it is not possible.
No, only inner dia we can tell.
25 like that is there. 6305. Inner dia.
Generally, into 2 times plus 12 like it will be added, sir. General concept.
How to measure the C3 clearance?
It doesn't come as a explain, sir. Explain, sir. This is the two rows are there, sir. Whereas all motors are having single row deep groove ball bearing only. In this MPH only 2 rows ball bearing is there, and this is oil cooling only. No grease is used in this bearing.
So this is steel. Not seal.
No, no, not seal, sir. Only one cage is a rubber seal. This rubber, he has given one cage for holding both side. Both side it is there.
No branch.
No brass. No, no, no.
And the rubber will hold it.
And this is double sealed bearing, sir. Used in mainly for SAVs only, where we are not able to grease. AL and the Siemens and all, 1 2 into 130 kV. The double sealed bearing, and with single row only it will be used. This in-socket bearing is there. Other than this, now Adioso has recommended us to use these bearings in all three-phase auxiliary motors. This some 10 numbers we have already provided, and now 20 numbers PO also got released. This will give high electrical resistance to withstand the voltage.
The coating will be inner laser or outer laser?
Inner ring.
Inner laser.
This is various type of clearances, sir. Various type of clearances are used in the bearing, sir. Mainly, it consists of C1, C2, and normal bearing. Normal clearance will be there. Then comes C3, then comes C4 and C5. Generally, this C1 will be rarely used. C2 very limited usage is there, and normal and as well as C3 clearance only used maximum in all bearings. Then C4 and C5 where the clearance will be more, and it is used in where temperature is more required. Suppose in textile industries and all, there that C4 and C5 clearance bearings will be used. But whereas for auxiliary motors and all, we will use C3 clearance only. And this is the chart, sir. Correspondingly, it will give number. Suppose normal board area is suppose MEMTS 6313. 13 into 5, 65, sir. This 65 range to this thing 2551 maximum. So this we have to measure the radial clearance. And internal clearance refers to the amount of the movement of gap between inner ring, outer ring, and the rolling elements. Rolling element, it is the gap between the outer ring, outer ring, and the ball, and then this clearance. That is only this experiment within the bearing. And for example, in high-speed motors, the bearing experience both centrifugal forces and heat, which cause the metal components to expand. And also, if the clearance is too small, the bearing parts may press against each other and increasing wear and friction. Both will happen. That will cause the bearing failure. C3 bearings have larger internal clearances to accommodate this expansion, ensuring smooth operation. And this is actually figure point of explaining. This is the initial clearance will be there like that it will be. So here more clearance is there, and then after fitting, the clearance will be slightly will reduce, and while running, temperature shaft temperature and all will get it will warm to maximum. This temperature still will get compressed. So there C3 clearance is there means it will safe side.
That is becoming less because the shaft will expand.
The temperature will increase also when movement is there.
Second one. Okay.
Second, interference when we are fitting, after fitting only this thing, and then this is during running condition. This bearing internal clearance is defined as the total distance through which one bearing ring can be moved related to the other in radial direction. A radial internal clearance, and this and axial direction is this thing. Suppose now this is a radial clearance, here this clearance, whereas here this inner roller and outer roller, this clearance is axial clearance. Here this will move that side, this side also. So this is radial and this is axial, and different types of bearing use.
For single row beam, we are able to measure axial clearance.
No, sir. Radial only. And this MEMT 6313 will be the used, sir. MBRH also same. MBSLSI 6306, 63 MBRF 63 is there, 6213 also there. MCP 6310, MCPA two type bearings are there, and MPH 6305, SAV cooling fan 6002, 6004, and 6306. And this is TMB 6312 C3, and this only we are going for now INSO code, sir. TMB and OCB. And MRV 6208, this is unmodified end shield type, this bearing is used, and 63 is used for the bearing modified end shield.
designation தனியாக ஏற்படுறது
இருக்கும் சார். இப்போ TMB scavenger இது unmodified 6206, 6206 சார். Whereas modified பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் இந்த digit 3 என்றது it will increase, sir. So internal dia will be same, sir, here. That this 3 means at outer dia only, sir. So hence we are going for end shield modification. Whereas the inner dia is same for the both. Shaft is same and bearing also inner dia is same. Whereas we are going for the outer width and as well as dia. MCPS same, sir, and MPH 4306 and 6306. And actually, this SMI 148 guidelines to identify genuine and spurious reconditioned bearing. This guides us how to identify good bearings. Spurious bearings which are not manufactured by the manufacturer. We can see that also physically. We can see also, sir. Reconditioning bearing which have been serviced or reconditioned to look like new bearings. And measure the radial internal clearance of the bearing. Check for rust preventive coating. All bearings will have some rust preventive coating will be there inside. Oil will be there, so that should be available to be ensured. And then check for indentation marks in the side faces of the ring, and then check for nick marks. Check for roller bearing rolling sound also. We should rotate and we can see also. If any unusual sound comes during this time also, we can reject. Always procure the bearing from the original manufacturers or OEMs or but suppliers. This is most important in this. And this reason I have rejected around 925 bearings based on this. Each one have one distinct history. This actually I have intended FAG India make, whereas that fellow has given China make. So that rejected. Here NBC
Yes.
This NBC make, he has given unusual sound. Rights passed were there, even though rejected 8 bearings. And this NBC make, right passed were there, 21 numbers I have rejected. This 6312 during freedom, it was there sound 30 numbers. And this 6312 SKF has supplied, I have rejected totally 247 numbers, sir, in this. SKF totally 247 numbers rejected in this, and he has lifted and given also.
But after that one, during joint inspection, they are agreeing, yes?
That actually what will happen is this: when you freely run and so on, sir, this cage, if at all, this dimension will be okay, sir. But whereas in this cage fitting, problem will be there. So whenever you rotate, our fellows, overhauling fellows will rotate very fast now. So that time that cage sound will come. So that cage, when it is provided in the motor and get gone for service, then problem will become more sound will come. So like this only. And this also China make it, and then supplied bearing is not having C clearance, but we have specifically mentioned him C3 clearance, but that fellow has given CN normal clearance he has given, so that also rejected. Unusual sound and jerk from bearing during free run, and also Tata bearing, some bearings have came rust and unusual sound was there. So total 925 bearings now approved, sir. Tata, Texpin, all of. And this is SMI 79 for testing by checking of new bearings of auxiliary motor. Check the appearance of the surface, then boundary dimensions, bore of inner race, outer race, and width of the bore race. This is important. And in the SOP also this is added. Check the condition of surface of rollers and active surfaces of inner and outer races. If there are visible rust marks, pitting marks, etc., reject the bearing. Check the bearing clearances with the dial gauge. This is only the radial procedure for measuring the radial clearance, sir. Here this bearing will be with fixed, inner racer will be fixed with top comping plate, and then dial gauge will be there. And then we will first we will push it, sir, then pull it. The difference of the reading will give the bearing radial clearance. In this DM and all we can feeler gauge and we can put, but in this auxiliary motor it is not possible. Only radial clearance only possible, that we are checking. This is apply light hand pressure just sufficient that all clearance is taken up. Push the bearing first away from the dial gauge and then towards the dial gauge. Record the difference between the two gauge reading. This is the total clearance, three dimensional clearance. This is the thumb rule for measuring the bore dia, medium sized bearings. Last two digits will be taken for inner bore dia measurement. 6310 means into 5 for 50, 6313 means 65, inner dia of the bearing and as well as shaft dia also same. But whereas Sudhir sir may get doubt now. 6300, what is the dia? So 6300, 6301, 6302, 6303, yeah, it has been standard. There you cannot multiply. From 6304 onwards, we can multiply and that will give the shaft dia and as well as bearing inner dia. But this up to three numbers, it will be standard. The total tolerance of the CZ blank character using the border are shown in the next slide. This is the tolerance of this thing, sir. Here, suppose this is shaft tolerance, we can allow this much only, and whereas this is the bearing inner tolerance. Always it should be in plus and it should be in minus. So this is and this is outer bearing outer clearances. This 6 to minus 6 to 13 it should be there. This is 9 to 13, and this is the radial clearance 25 to 61 for 61. So this SMA in SMA it has been explained. Sir. Based on this only chart is there. Now we are following this. This explains the method to avoid bearing failure due to lack of lubrication, contaminated lubricants, mismatching and misalignment, and damaged raceway on auxiliary motors using shock pulse meter. This actually in 0 to 1000 RPM to be rejected based on 45 dBn and 1000 to 3000 at the values of 35 dBn. And this SPM code should be A, B poor lubrication, C poor surface condition, D bearing damage will be there. Through SPM we can identify these also.
Instead of seeing this ABCD, only check the variance. So absolute variance.
Sir, actually that what now checking is only per second, sir. Actually, that is only vibration. It will not tell us about the bearing inside condition. That we are measuring in now loco also and here also. It will give per second only is giving for the vibration only. It will not tell the bearing condition. Only with SPM only it is possible. All it will be with this only, sir. It will be previously also TM was having SPM only. Main SPM bearing conditioner was there.
No, now they have started this bearing condition. Apart from bearing condition, vibration also they have started seeing.
No,
that way we can also see.
Okay, sir. And different types of tools we are using, sir. Bore gauge, micrometer, dial gauge, shock pulse meter. This different failures in axle related to bearing, sir. This bearing unusual sound due to pitting marks is there. This is cage broken, sir. This cage will hold the rollers in position. So here totally mainly LHP cases only happened lot of cases, sir. Yes. In this, no free rotation is there, sir. Shaft dia will be more. This is also LHP only. It will not rotate freely.
In this condition, vibration will vary.
No, it will come.
The difference between normal and this one.
And it will prone to failure. Heat temperature also it will fail. That's all, sir.
Very good.